Okay, now let's take a look at some of the body tags, or tags that go in the body. Here are some heading. Notice we got H1 through H6. Notice here the headings are all bold, and as we go from 1 to 6, the text gets smaller. Now there's no guarantee on what size they'll be. It's just that each successive level will get smaller than the previous one because it may render different on different devices and different resolutions for those devices. So these are heading tags. Notice each heading tag H1 has a closing tag /H2. H2 has a closing tag of /H2, and so on. The next thing to help format things is the paragraph. Paragraph is the letter P in angular brackets, and when the paragraph ends, you close it with the /P. And you type in your paragraph here. It can be multiple sentences, can span multiple lines, and it's treated as one particular section of text. Here's our first standalone tag, or void tag, is the break. Here inside angular brackets we have a BR. Now in some of the older versions of HTML, this tag also had a slash after the R and after a space, so it would be BR space slash to indicate that it was a standalone tag. They revised that in HTML5, so we'll just use this particular tag and just causes whatever after to start on a new line. Instead of having a paragraph break, you'll see there's a blank line between these. With the break, it goes to the next line without that blank line. Another one is the block quote. This indents a block of text for special emphasis. It pushes in both sides. So it shrinks the margin and it puts everything inside of it in a different way to make it easier to see where you have a block quote. Here are a bunch of other HTML tags. We have B for bold text, and each of these tags has the closing text. You'll have to put a slash in front of the element. So the closing tag for bold is /B. We have EM for emphasized text. Usually it's displayed in italics, and notice the word usually, because it may be displayed in some other way depending on how the user sets things up. Here we have I for italicized text. Here we have mark for marked text, and this one's going to be highlighted in some type of highlight. Small means the text will be smaller than the other ones. Usually the fine print displayed in the small. Strong text is something that usually stands out, and it's usually displayed in bold. And we have subscripts and superscripts using the sub and sup tag. Now you can nest all the HTML tags. And this is proper nesting. So notice I have a paragraph tag. I have italics. So that means everything between this paragraph here and this closed paragraph is treated as one particular paragraph. Here I have an italics tag, so I have I, and then a /I over here closes it. So everything in between here is going to be italics. Now notice within that italics tag and the paragraph tag, I have another strong tag. So this is going to be in a strong, which is usually bold, and here it closes it. So notice that I close the tag for this one. I close this tag for the one here, and then close the P for the paragraph over here. Which wouldn't be correct is if I swap these two, the /I and the /P, then it wouldn't follow the proper nesting. I would close one while the other one is still open. Then I have a closing tag when it can't get to this tag here because it was closed by an outside one. So this is how this particular line displays. Note it's all in italics. Even this bold number here has a little bit of lean to it. The next thing we'll look at is some lists, and we have basically three types of lists: unordered, ordered, and description lists. Usually, or before, it was called a definition list. So if you see some things on the web about definition lists, they were talking about a description list. Here we have an unordered list. Notice it displays items in a list format, and here, since it's unordered, it'll put bullets. We'll see how we can change this later on to something else. For right now, we have UL that defines this list, so that will be enclosed in everything in here that we see, from TCP all the way down to FTP. And then for each item, we're going to list each item with an LI list element. So let's look at the code for that. So here we have an unordered list, and here's our closing tag. Now notice how it's structured here. I could put this all on one line, it would render the same, but here it's easier for humans to read, so it would be easier for you to debug if you have something wrong, like you're missing something. So here is our list items. So notice each list item has a closing list item, and we list our 4 items in our list here. And each one has an LI tag to it. And this is how it renders over here in this window. Now the only difference between the unordered list and the ordered list is we have the OL tag instead of the UL tag, and the type attribute determines the numbering scheme. We can list letters here, we can list numerals, we can do Arabic numbers or Roman numerals. So the default here is numerals. And just like the unordered list, we have the LI that contains the list item. So here's an ordered list. Notice again the structure that they type it in, and when you type it in your text editor, you should keep this structure in mind, and you should actually use it. So notice we have each of our list elements here: apply to school, register for the course, and so on. And notice that the list comes out 1, 2, 3, 4. So this makes it real easy. If I want to add something between register for course and paid tuition, I can just come to my text editor at the end of this line, hit enter, type in another list item, type what I want, and in the /li, and then when the page redisplays, they'll be renumbered correctly 1 through 5 at that time. Paid tuition would go down to 4, and 10 course would be 5, and my new one would be 3, sitting right here. And the last type of list is description list, or usually used for frequently asked questions. So that starts off with DL. DT is the description term, and DD is the description definition. So let's take a look at this one. Here's my DL. Notice the alignment again in my text editor. The DT for the term. And notice it looks like a list, but it doesn't have the bullets or the numbering system like the other one did. And then we have the definition for that below, and it's indented from those. So that's an example of a description list. So at this point, you should be able to describe the features of a heading element and how it configures the text. The heading element, what tag is that you're going to use? And then what features have we gone over that do that? So remember, the heading tag is inside angular brackets the word head. And then some of the features we used were the title, which was angular brackets and title, and then the title that we wanted to display. We looked at the encoding scheme, and we looked at the language that goes inside of the heading element. Then we looked at the difference between ordered and unordered list, and mainly the main difference is ordered list has OL, unordered list is UL. The unordered list has bullet points, and the ordered list is numbered, and we can change the type to change whether we use numerals or letters or some other character that we want.